My name is Juliette Jonna, and I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. And my parents is Zaya Bahura and Shamama Bahura. We had a beautiful life in Baghdad, Iraq. We were very prosperous. I went to Academy of Sacred Heart, me and my sister Mary, and we had a beautiful, beautiful life. You know, we didn't struggle. We didn't come to America because we had problem financially or anything. We came because of the political situation that changed after the king was assassinated. And my father had a vision that he needs to make a move and take my mother and my sisters to come to America, because my brother was studying in the United States. He was studying at Wayne University for business administration. He got his master's, and at the time, my brother was married, and my father asked him that we need to move with our life, and that's how we decided to immigrate to America in the 50s, late 50s. My father was a very successful businessman, and we had a very beautiful, thriving life. Well, it was a beautiful country. You know, it was like an oasis. The weather, the people, everything. You know, like when we came, when my father announced that we're going to move to America, was the saddest day in our life. Well, there was a curfew, and our school was closed for a week, and we had to stay home. We couldn't go out or do anything. And then after a week, the schools opened, and we went back, and half of my classroom was empty, because the school that I went to was Academy of Sacred Heart, was the French nuns, and there was a lot of political figures' daughters. Even so, they weren't Christian. They would attend the school because it was a very highly regarded private school, Academy of Sacred Heart. They would come to our school, but they wouldn't participate in the Catholic religion. Well, after the assassination, all these girls, I never saw them again. I don't know what happened to them. And I was very young. I was like 12 years or so. That was very dramatic on me. I flew to Detroit, and my brother, Najib Bahura, greeted me at the airport with his wife, and I stayed with them the first year and went to school to continue. So I went to Highland Park High, and after a year, my mother and my sisters came and joined us. I was very lost. It was a big change in my life in every direction. I mean, the people wasn't like today, but the Chaldeans, they all lived around the same area, and they interacted very closely at that time, because we were a much smaller community. Yes, we had a beautiful church, not as elaborate as we have today, called the Mother of God, in Hamilton, in Detroit. I went to school. I attended Highland Park High, and I was, because the schools in Iraq, they were much more ahead. And I had enough credit to graduate from high school at my age, but I needed to take American history and English literature to be eligible to graduate in the United States. So I went to 2 years, and that's all I took. And in the meantime, I took a lot of fun stuff like art classes, you know, all different things, because I didn't need to take anything else. And I graduated. Then I attended Mercy College for 1 year. And in the meantime, Eddie had met me, and we were dating. And then after a year of college, I got engaged, and we got married in 1961. I never went back to Iraq because the situation was getting worse and worse with time. I was born and raised in Baghdad. In Baghdad, we spoke Arabic, We didn't speak Chaldean in Baghdad because that's all we spoke at home. And then going to Academy of Sacred Heart was a French school, and we had French and English. And so when I came to the United States, I had enough English to get by here. And then I learned Chaldean when I came to Michigan, is when I married Eddie. And because his family at that time, they didn't use Arabic at home. They spoke Chaldean, so I blended in with the family. And that's how I learned Chaldean. We have 4 children. We have 2 girls and then 2 boys. And all 4 are married successfully. And they have beautiful families. I have 11 grandchildren, very highly educated and highly accomplished kids. And 4 out of my 11 grandchildren, the older one, are married, and they have, we're expecting our 8th great-grandchild. We were very Chaldean because my mother was very Chaldean with her traditions and her values and her religion, and my dad too. And I raised my children with a lot of the Chaldean ethnic background. And the advantage, another advantage I had, that my father passed away, and my mother was young, in her late 40s. So she kind of was living with us and was around my children and the families. And she taught my children more traditional values and the language. And I mean, my 4 children, they all understand Chaldean. In the beginning, I was married with 4 little kids, and I had a lot of responsibility. And at that time, Eddie worked very hard, and he provided us with nice life, and I didn't need to work. And then when my youngest son, Matthew, was like 7, 8 years old, and I really wanted to do something. I wanted to either go back to school, finish my degree, or do something more worthwhile than just go out to lunch and do just the normal things. So Eddie was opening one of the locations on Northwestern Highway in Southfield in 1978. And he asked me if I could cater the event for the press. And I cooked everything, and I took it there, and I displayed the food. And I was always into beautiful presentation and very healthy cooking. So we had the press, and we opened up the store that evening. The next morning, the press started writing about me and the food and forgot about the store. So really, I came later, but Eddie was always the king of the business. I came later in '78. Then Eddie said, "You know what do you think?" I said, "You know what, I want to do something with my life. You want me to come in? Let's, but we didn't have a kitchen in that store. So I took a little back room where they used to deliver the merchandise, and I went to Sears Roebuck. I bought me a stove, a refrigerator, and they built me a counter and a sink with a garbage disposal. And I went there. I would get up in the morning, take my kids to school. I would go to the store and start experimenting and making different dishes. Like I would make pasta primavera, chicken Carolina. I did all kind of dips, fresh pasta, all that. And everybody came in, and they were going crazy over the food. And one thing led to another. So really, it happened to me by accident. I wasn't planning to do it. And I'm not professionally trained. I taught myself, and I did everything within myself. And then I got into beautiful presentation of baskets. And like you see now, all these Chaldean, they're doing all the basket and all the food and all that. They all worked for me in the business. and I taught them, and I'm so proud of them that they're carrying my legacy. Well, when I went to college, I really wanted to go in the medical field, either become a pharmacist or something. At that time, being a doctor took too long, So anyhow, I joke around about it. I said, instead of becoming a pharmacist, I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish my education. I got in the kitchen and I played with the food, because the food and blending and mixing and creating is part of science too. So that's what happened to me. So I had a lot of fun doing it, and I worked in the business. In the beginning, I thought I was going to go in and work at my own leisure and leave when I want, but it worked out the other way. The business started growing and growing and growing. Then I started working so many hours that sometimes Eddie would get mad at me. He comes home and I'm not here, and he's not used to that. So anyhow, after a while, we managed and we grew and we opened more stores, and the rest is history. And me and Ed, we always loved traveling, and we loved to learn and explore. So we really had the opportunity. Every year we'd take at least 4 or 6 weeks and travel around the world and look for good ideas for food and wine. And I learned a lot from observing. I visited the best food stores in the world. We went to the best wineries all over the world. We kind of educated ourselves. And that's how our business flourished, to the point that we started doing carry-out, which I was the first woman that started the carry-out business in the state of Michigan, because there was nothing to pick up good food or do beautiful presentation and nice catering and all this and all that. The closest thing was going to Farmer Jack and getting a deli tray. But people came to me and I would give them all freshly prepared food, beautifully presented, on wicker baskets and all decorated with fresh flowers and herbs. Well, Mexico came later in life. When we retired in 1999, we traveled a lot for pleasure and business. And we were going to Cabo San Lucas. I've been all over Mexico, the resort part of Mexico. But Cabo San Lucas came later. In '93, we went there, and that's another story I found out by accident. We had a gourmet food and wine club, and every month we would meet at each other's homes and pair wines with food. And one of the guests said, "Julie, where are you guys going next?" I said, "I don't know, we're looking for someplace to go." He said, "Have you been to Cabo San Lucas?" I said, "Where is it?" He said, he showed me on the map where it is. And I said, oh, okay. So I went to the travel agent and asked them. They didn't even know what Cabo San Lucas is. They thought I was talking about Kabul, Pakistan. And so then I waited. About a year later, I was in San Francisco, because we used to go to the wine country. And I walked into a travel agent and I asked him about Cabo. And she said, oh yeah, it's down in the peninsula. It's where the land meets the sea. She showed me. She said it's very popular in the West Coast. The reason you don't hear about it because you're from the Midwest. In the Midwest, or we would go either different part of Mexico or we go to Florida. So anyhow, we went to Cabo in 1993, and that's where we fell in love with it because of the weather. And there, you have the land is the desert where they meet the sea, and then they have mountain, desert, and ocean. And the weather is always low humidity, cool in the morning, very pleasant and average all day, and cool in the evening. And the people were just amazing because it was like a fishing village, and they were very unique and wonderful Mexican. And so we started going, we bought a timeshare, two-bedroom timeshare, and we started going there from the 1993. So when we retired in 1999, Eddie said, I would never go anywhere except Cabo. So back and forth, back and forth. I said, I don't speak Spanish. I don't know anybody there. It's, as far as 5.5-hour flight direct from Michigan. Then anyhow, we went to Cabo. We started looking for property. And I said, you know what? He's worked so hard all his life. What's the difference? We'll buy a place. It doesn't work out. We'll sell it and come back. So we went in 1999, and we've been there 26 years. And we're planning, hopefully, my children, grandchildren, they were all raised there. Now my great-grandkids, they're going crazy over Cabo, and I hope they keep the legacy going. Well, the Chaldean that immigrated years ago, I don't know a lot about it, but what I have heard, they immigrated looking for opportunities, and they were more in the big cities, like Oaxaca, Merida, Mexico City, and different part. Because Cabo was not, it's a resort. There was no business opportunities. So the Chaldean immigrated to different part of Mexico. I gotta tell you, I am the proudest Chaldean when I walk around and I see what the Chaldean have accomplished in Michigan. It's amazing. It's mind-boggling. And instead of having one church, we have 12, or even more. Having a country club like Shenandoah and expanding with more country club, you don't see that in any ethnic nationality. We have so many ethnic people in Michigan. Next to the Jewish community, I think we're getting there. We're going to need a little more time because we need to invest into our future generation to reach out the highest level of education and to be able to explore working internationally and communicating with big companies to take them to a different level. I feel the Jewish community, they're very successful, and I have the highest respect for them. And hopefully one day the Chaldean will be reaching their goal. And what I like, that we keep the family unity together. Like the Jewish people are the same way. We believe in our value and our religion and our tradition. But we're getting to a point now when the kids of today's generation, they have to be more acclimated with the American way because they're all going away to universities. They're working different cities. They're exposed to a different way of doing business, and we need to broaden our horizon and be more open-minded. Instead of looking that way, we have to look all around. The world is very big. and let our children, our grandchildren, well, with me, my children, they're all set already. I'm in a different stage of life. My grandchildren, I pray for them that they're going to be leading a wonderful, successful life and content life with a lot of dignity and respect and honesty. Because to me, you could work hard and achieve a lot, but you have to have the other ingredients to go with it to keep our community's reputation up to par.